and welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, affectionately known throughout the United States as the Money Lady, bringing over 36 years of expertise in the area of finance, insurance, real estate, international markets, and banking. And I am so delighted today to continue my conversation with powerful women around just where we are today. And for those of you that are viewing, you know that I interviewed Ryan McGlynn, Marcia Bonhart, and Barry Roberts several weeks ago, who are all very, very successful, giving and compassionate, powerful women. And today I thought I'd do something a little different and have a younger generation, because after all, the torch has to be passed to our younger women. And so I'm delighted today to continue my conversation with women around their success models, what makes their world. And so without further ado, let me introduce my two guests today. And for the next hour, just sit back and enjoy the conversation. We have as my guest April Joy Gillespie, who's a very successful entrepreneur and a public speaker. And we also have Laura. Give me your last name.
Laurel Mazzocca.
Laura Mazzocca, excuse
Yes.
me, and she is a entrepreneur and a philanthropist.
Yes.
And I thought that was an interesting spin. The philanthropy and the just so. Do you mind telling my viewers? Let's start with you, April. How old are you?
I'm 33 years old.
Oh man, wonderful. Give us a little bit of your background.
Sure. Well, I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I came out of college, out of the University of Cincinnati, and I spent most of my corporate career working in the advertising industry. And I've had a great career, loved it, but I later discovered that I really had a passion for public speaking and giving and contributing to my community and helping them to really realize the principles behind personal development and success. And so that's really where I spend the vast majority of my time right now.
That's outstanding. And what about you?
I was also born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now 29 years old.
29.
Yes.
Oh man, my children. Okay.
And my professional career, I started out as an athletic coach.
An athletic coach.
Yes.
Okay.
And so with young girls, so it's always been a passion of mine to empower young women and to help them see their full potential. And that also kind of bleeds into the entertainment industry and spotting talent and helping people realize that they are a standout and they can be leaders. And that's what led me to the business that I have started today.
And give me a little bit about the philanthropy.
With the
'Cause I was interested in
philanthropy,
that.
yes.
Yes.
I've with my convictions to help young women, I've taken it upon myself to reach out to women in disadvantaged situations and try to raise awareness of their situations and create funding to help programs that help these women.
That's great. Now, is this national, local, or international?
All
Okay.
local.
All local women.
Yes.
Young women, older women, does it matter?
It doesn't matter, but recently it's been mostly just young women, young girls.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
a challenge.
Yes.
That's a challenge. So what do you, at the great old age, I will tell you my age, but it's not 33, what do you feel has been the most challenging situation that you've experienced as you've embarked on this new road?
Sure. Well, growing up in corporate America, obviously, and early on in my professional career, I was surrounded mostly by men, especially working in the media industry. That's very prominent.
It still is.
Yes, absolutely. And what I had discovered, ironically, I was working for a division of Fox at the time, and I noticed several different women that were later demoted, and there were younger men that replaced them in those positions. So that was really my first indication in my early to mid-20s where I realized I don't know if this is really where I want to be long term. I need to begin to make an impact in a different fashion.
Yes.
And so that's what I chose to do. So I decided to start looking at different business opportunities that would give me the opportunity to display my leadership where I didn't have to worry about a glass ceiling. And so that's really what led me down the current path that I'm on today. But I think that's still a huge huge challenge for women today, is that they're still struggling and trying to understand who they are, their own identity, and take on that mantle of leadership, as I like to call it, and give themselves a voice in the community, whether that be at their jobs, through their volunteer work. There's lots of opportunities, but they have to pursue it passionately.
I agree on that passion piece. How has passion been important in your career choice?
And just, you know, being that push to be taken seriously, which I think is a struggle for young women who are trying to become independent professionals, and also just to give back and teaching other people that they have so much to give. I think you'll believe in yourself so much more and have so much more confidence if you feel that someone else needs you and that you have enough, you are enough to overflow and to give to someone else.
You know, it's funny having this we had a very similar conversation with an older group of women that we consider ourselves seasoned, battle-scarred women, to see that even in your group we're still dealing with some of the same themes as females in the business world, where numerically we are the majority. That's undeniable. We are the majority, but yet we are still dealing with this issue of being taken seriously. Do you feel it's cultural, or do you feel that this is just the way the boys play ball?
I think part of it might be cultural, but I think it also relies on the examples that women are given. I think if we have more women that step up to the plate, whether that be in corporate or in philanthropy or you know, whatever their profession might be, that if they step up to the plate, then they give other women, younger women, the opportunity to say, you know what, if they did it, I can do it too.
Right.
So I think it's, for Laurel and I, it really comes down to setting that example and letting younger women realize, you know what, you don't have to be one of the boys. You can be a female, you can be strong, you can have a voice. You don't have to, you can play with them, but you don't have to really abide by all of their rules either.
Or as I like to say, I'm Lucy.
Yes, exactly.
I'm Lucy,
exactly.
and you may have a sandbox, but I'm getting ready to tear this whole thing down.
Exactly.
You know, I'm Lucy.
Yes.
That's interesting. What are your thoughts?
I agree with what you were saying. I think it's a lot of reteaching, creating different kinds of examples for women. And you can be beautiful. You can, you know, have your aesthetic doesn't really have to matter.
Right, I agree.
Yes, but it's all about your actions and what you're actually doing with your time, and having the confidence to push through and and believe that you are going to excel and to continue to excel.
Well, you are what you believe. It's all about what's going on inside your little head.
Absolutely.
It really is. So what are some of your little nuggets of leadership that you give out when you speak? What do you focus on?
I think one thing that so many women and men need to better understand is that success doesn't happen by accident. It's planned. And so one of the things that I often speak about is you have to schedule your success. If you look at your calendar and see where you're actually spending your time, they often say you look at two things to really understand what's important to someone. You look at their bank account and you look at their calendar. How do they spend their money and how do they spend their time?
Oh, that is so good.
You know?
That is so good.
That's what I advise people. Take a look at your bank account and then you'll be able to see what you really value, and then look at your calendar and see how you're spending your time. Are you sitting, you know, playing video games all day, you know, or are you out partying all the time? Or are you literally scheduling your success and say, these days of the week, this is what I'm going to do to pursue my dream and to fulfill what I'm on this earth to do? Or am I always going to be fulfilling someone else's desires and dreams? But you have to schedule
that's very powerful. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely intelligent effort.
Yes.
It has to be well thought out plans. Like the failure to plan is failing to plan is planning to fail.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
so planning, knowing exactly what the next step is going to be, you know, having that 5-year plan, having that 6-month plan, and having a week-long plan. Like, how are you going to be further ahead tomorrow than you were today? And
that would be the goal.
Exactly. You would think. Can you, if you look back, I mean, do you see evidence of that? And what are you doing about it now?
Well, I'm excited that that women that are your age, both of you are young women, very powerful women, but that you get it. Because one of the things that I have held to, and certainly at my age I'm not about to compromise, is time is money.
Yes.
Right.
And if you want to know where a person's bank account is, trust me, you can watch their time utilization, and it will tell you exactly where they are. And it's a sad story, but it is a story that I think a lot of it has to do with your environment and what you were trained.
Yes.
Right.
The person doesn't know. It's kind of like swimming. You will drown if you have not been taught to swim.
Right.
Right.
Guarantee you. So do you think a lot of young ladies have not been taught to swim? Is this what's happening with them not understanding what you talked about, the issue of how you're allocating your time and those types of things? Is it a lack of mentoring, or what do you think that is?
I think part of it is a lack of mentoring and coaching. But here's the thing, Michelle. We're not taught these things in school.
Not at all.
We're not taught them in school. We're not taught them even in most colleges and universities. And unless you're in a very substantive mentoring program at a young age, and we're starting to see these rise within the community now, which I'm really happy to see, to begin to teach women these principles at a younger age, because the worst thing is to wake up and be 35 years old and say, what happened to my life?
Right.
It's because you didn't have that influence at a younger age. And so I'm starting to see that happen at a greater degree now, which is great. But one thing that women need to understand is that your history does not have to determine your destiny.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's just your
It's
it's
just a story.
It's just the story.
It's just the story.
And you can turn the given time
I
that you
totally
like
agree.
and start over.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that. I know that as I talk to younger women, and of course I mentored both my daughters, and they're high-powered girls.
Yes.
I love them. But sometimes even I have to step back, and I'm like, whew, it's hot in here. It's getting hot in here. But I think what you're saying as far as the need for the mentoring, the need for the just the constant reinforcement that it's okay to fail.
Yes.
In fact, I share with people, I said, you know, there is life outside of being the money lady. You become adroit at money from your failures with money.
Right.
Yes.
You know it doesn't work because you blew yourself up trying to do it.
Right.
And with so many women today having children and trying to take care of those children, what are your thoughts on that in terms of their ability to get by that?
Well, it obviously creates a unique challenge, but
Yes,
I don't
it
think
does.
it's nothing that a woman cannot overcome. You know, and I see it also, I kind of look at it from a different angle to say this is an opportunity to impart new knowledge into that young person at a very young age.
Yes.
You know, and I think we often forget that when children are very young, their brains are like sponges.
Yes.
And they soak in everything. And so what you're teaching them at a really young age is going to have a huge impact on the influence that they're going to have for the future. So I like to look at it as an opportunity if she will look at it as an opportunity.
Rather than a press.
Exactly.
Because that's what I'm seeing with so many of the women, the younger women that are having children and are not really prepared. And you know, it's funny, I shouldn't probably say this, but my generation of women, we worked so hard, picketed, waved bras,
Yes.
to have women to be able to control that birthing issue through birth control. We didn't have birth control in my generation. It came later. Same thing with just those responsibilities. And it's amazing, I said, with all of this out here, and yet they're still making choices that will impact on them. Do you think it's because they haven't been taught, or do they have to go through the pain syndrome?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. You know, I think there needs to be a greater understanding of what bringing a child into this world, means, and there's still, I think, greater education that has to take place there. But again, it doesn't happen in school. It rarely happens in the household.
Right.
And so again, there has to be a third-party resource to come in to be able to help educate these women on what this really means. And if you do end up having, a child at a younger age, see it as an opportunity. See it as an opportunity to impart new knowledge and to, begin to raise that child with principles of success. You can do anything you want. They say oftentimes that by the time a child reaches the age of 7, 8 years old, they've heard the word no 20,000 times.
Yes.
And so how do we begin to rewire their consciousness at a younger age so that they can impart that new knowledge from the get-go?
I couldn't agree more with you, and I think that both of you bring such a perspective and such positivity, as I call it, to the marketplace, because that I find is just lacking. I do, and of course, one of the things that the group of women I was with, we were talking about, and we're going to do it, is to do an all points conference for young women leaders. We're going to do this, and we're bringing in some of the older women who have walked the road, because we're open to learning.
Absolutely.
I look at you guys. When I first saw her, I was like, wow, she's hot. And just her confidence and her accomplishments at such a young age. And yet I know that both of you have gone through it. What has been your most challenging personal situation, do you feel?
Well, I think that, I'm going back to mothers and single mothers, I attribute all of my recent success to becoming a single mom.
Interesting.
And, yes, and having to rise up out of a place of hardship and create something new. I want a certain kind of life for my child, and I want my child to live a certain way, and the only way he's going to learn that is by what he witnesses. So, I picked myself up, and I'm building something out of nothing, and I'm showing him how to give by the way that I give.
That is amazing. Keep on. That's good.
Yeah, and it's just out of determination and survival. And I could work third shift. I could, my hat's off to all those that do. And I could work around the clock and never see my child, or I could try to be extremely fruitful and make the most of the time that I'm given. And so I've chosen something that I see to be lucrative enough to give me the time that I need with him, that I feel like I need with him, so that he feels like he has a mom.
Yes, that's important.
Yes.
That's important.
And show him that we can build something out of nothing. We can be great regardless of where we came from.
That's amazing. So do you have your own business?
I do.
Well, tell me, what do you do that gives you time freedom?
I have started a talent agency.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And you actually are identifying people to go into media or into advertising, or
into acting and modeling, just connecting the talent with the client. And I've always, in my athletic coaching experiences and in the entertainment industry, I've always had an eye for the standouts. So
that's a good eye to have.
Why not take your talents and make some money with it? So that's what I'm doing right now.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
My oldest daughter is a celebrity booking agent.
Excellent.
Yeah, she went to School of Creative and Performing Arts in the day. And she's sharp. I told her I said, boy, oh boy, you're looking more and more like Lucy. She said, I learned it from you. I said, okay, but that's wonderful. And what about yourself?
Yes. Well, I started basically an insurance brokerage about 3 years ago, which I have thoroughly enjoyed, where I go into companies primarily and I offer our services as a voluntary employee benefit.
Okay.
And do that with about 40,000 companies across the United States and
Canada.
Goodness.
That's
so
wonderful.
Fastest growing employee benefit in America. So I've been very excited about that. And then about the same time, I had and this was during the kind of the economic downturn or the beginnings of it. I was living in Chicago at the time, had a lot of friends that were unfortunately laid off, but they had great ideas.
Okay.
But they didn't have the business plan behind the idea. And as we all know, the business plan is the roadmap to success,
That
right?
is the only roadmap.
Exactly, it's the roadmap. So they came to me and needed some advice on creating some of those plans, which I did for them. And then I found myself coaching them.
Okay.
I found myself coaching them, and throughout that process, I decided to start my personal development company, which is called Starseed Incorporated. Yes.
Right.
Yes. And so Starseed
Right.
Incorporated is focused on helping individuals and entrepreneurs, primarily, even small business owners, achieve their highest good within their community and to really identify what their core purpose is for being on this earth and to exploit the talents that are God-given to everyone.
I totally agree. They're totally God-given if we understand what that means and the responsibility that goes along with that. Because that is a responsibility.
It is, it is. And similar to what Laurel said, our talents are not for us. They are for someone else.
I couldn't agree more.
And the moment we remember that and just keep that top of mind, we would see this world absolutely transform. We really would, one person at a time. If we remember what's inside of us is not for us, it's for someone else.
Right.
So it is your moral imperative to discover your talent, exploit it, because it's there to bless someone else, not you.
Well, I tell you, I don't know if she told you, but I was a speaker at one of her
Yeah,
events.
she told me that.
And that was just off the chart. I mean, that was just so, but what I so appreciated is, again, seeing what I call the transference of that information and the passion into another generation of people. Because times are tough today, and those bright stars are so important to give people hope and encouragement. And I personally feel you can't be focused on you. The story is not about you. It's, I tell folks, trust me, it's not about you. But it is a bigger story. It's a more amazing story.
It is.
About how we can bring hope and encouragement to others and propel them to their destiny.
Absolutely.
Because everybody, what did the Beatles sing? I get along with a little help from my friends. We all do. You need to have some. So who was your mentor?
You know, I had a couple mentors. One that really comes to mind was when I was in Chicago. I was asked to speak at the women's organization. It was Business Women of West Cook County. Okay. And I was a good friend of mine. Her name was K.L. Robertson Daly, who I still, have a great relationship with today. And she was a female entrepreneur, also a high-ranking female in corporate America for a logistics company. And this organization was made up primarily of older women who had achieved a lot of success, but she wanted to have a younger woman come and speak at her event to provide new insight, into, okay, what do the women of today really care about? How are they going through some of the challenges and ups and downs of being a woman in corporate? And that just really rang so true to me, because I had so many women that came up to me and said, you know what, I learned so much from you.
I believe it.
And I thought, wow, I was hoping to learn a lot from them, and I did, but they learned just as much from me as I learned from them. And so that was my big awakening when it comes to mentorship, because mentorship goes both ways.
It does.
We always think about older to younger, but it's also younger to older.
Right. It does. It does. I think that there's tremendous value, because I tell folks the fact that you're older does not mean you're wise.
True.
That's a fact.
Yes.
That because a person says I'm 60 or 70, and I tell them, well, now that I've got your number, what's going on inside your head?
Yes.
And if their lives have been limited lives, self-centered, absorbed, and nothing more than just the rudiments of getting through, I don't think they bring value to the table, and I'm not really interested in engaging them in that conversation. But when I see young women like yourselves, that just makes me so excited, because I am learning, and I see where this could go. I mean, I think this is so absolutely amazing. So what did you tell the older ladies?
I spoke to them really primarily about just having a renewed passion and a renewed energy behind what you're doing. Because people can sense when you really care. It's that famous quote, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Absolutely.
Right? And sometimes I think we forget that, when we kind of get in the grind and we're going through the day-to-day. But our passion and the energy behind what we do is so critical, because that is what is feeding the soul of every single person that's around you. You know, nobody wants to be around a Debbie Downer, right?
I hope not.
Okay.
I don't know.
Nobody wants to
I
be
don't
around
wanna be
that.
around them.
Yeah, so it's focused primarily around passion and enthusiasm and waking up every day feeling really good about who you are, what you're contributing, and what you're doing for the world. And the world is the people that are right around you.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I think we
Absolutely.
forget that. When we
Yes.
speak about the world, we think global, which is true, but change starts with the power of one.
It's funny, in the show before this one, that's exactly what I talked about. You know, the change that is upon the world.
Yes.
And it affects each and every one of us
It
personally.
does.
And people are going to have to make choices as to what model are you going to embrace.
Yes.
And I think for a lot of older women, whether they've been successful in the marketplace or not, the issue that really becomes apparent is the lack of passion, because it's become habitual.
Yes.
You know how to do these things. It's rote. You just
Yeah,
go through the
routine.
motions, you know, and you lose that joy that comes from doing something that's exciting and different, you know. And then again, your peers, you have to make a decision. I had to make a decision to change most of my peers to younger women. I did, because because a lot of women my age were just going through the motions, and then their conversations were about their misery, their grandkids, and their
Right.
kids, and I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I just can't do this. But so, what have your experiences been relative to what she's speaking about?
Well, I think that there's a lot of information out there.
Yes, there is.
And the way your life, the direction that you take is going to depend on what you do with your attention.
Yes.
How you use your attention. You know, what pieces of information do you choose to hold on to? And that's what's going to say if I decided to, you know, just spend all day shopping and watching TV and reading through fashion magazines, like I wouldn't really be gaining a lot of wisdom
Right.
at my age, nothing exceptional. But I've chosen to really have my eyes open and try to learn something new every day, and just wisdom is my mission.
You'll get there.
Yeah, but I think it's out of wisdom that I've chosen to do what I do.
I find that so
Yeah.
exciting to have a talent agency. Are you local, regional, national, international?
We are local for now.
Okay.
We're local right now because we're a baby. We're new.
Okay, all right.
yeah.
Okay, well, let the baby learn how to crawl.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
Okay, good.
But it's the name of my talent agency is VCM Entertainment. VCM is my son's initials.
VCM
He is the reason.
Entertainment.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to put the agency in a box, because who knows how we'll grow. So entertainment, it's the scope of the entire entertainment industry.
Entertainment
That is our
amazing.
vision. Yeah.
It's amazing. I will say that is an industry that is not subject to the recession.
Exactly.
People love to be entertained.
Yes.
Exactly.
And America has an international reputation for providing entertainment venues. I mean, when I lived in China, the kids were moonwalking Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And they were doing it, and I would be eating dinner, and here comes a kid moonwalking, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in Shenzhen and he's moonwalking. I'm having a problem here. And the kids say, you just need to get with it, Miss Graves. I'm like, okay, then let me moonwalk. Can't do it. But that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. And your career decision to do what you're doing was based on just the glass ceiling you talked about.
Yes.
But what about personally? Was there anything to inspire you to do this?
Absolutely, absolutely. I loved the media industry. It taught me a lot, definitely, and I call it my training ground.
Oh yeah.
And it taught me a lot. It really did. You know, it gave me the confidence to sit down with CEOs and VPs of marketing and have no problem having those conversations.
Right,
you know,
right.
And I think I got that training so early on. But what it did, it taught me how to have those same conversations now in my own business, but now it's for me.
Right.
Not for
Absolutely.
someone else.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
it was, but I really got to that point because I was looking for something else. I was soul searching.
Yes.
I was soul searching. My soul was not being fed. It just wasn't. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror one day and I just thought, are you going to do this another 10 years?
Oh, I've been there.
The proverbial question, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Are you going to do this for
Or am
another
I just
decade?
going to shoot myself? You know?
Right, right, exactly. And I got to that point. But, you know, I think it's difficult for many people because if they've been in the same thing for so long, they don't know what else to do.
Right.
Well, this is all I've done.
Right.
You know? But every skill, everything that you have learned can be repurposed into another industry.
I love that. Well, go
I
on.
have something to say about that.
No, you say what you have to say.
Because I just want to address how a lot of what we think our flaws are and our weaknesses are really our strengths and our gifts.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
I was told I had problems with authority, that I had an employer tell me, stop trying to write your own program, stop running your own program. And when we parted ways, I was like, you know what? I think I will run my own program.
I think so.
I like
I
running
think
my own
so.
program, and I think I'll be really
Yes,
good at it.
Yes, yes.
So
I
that's
think
what we're
that-
doing.
That is so.
Yeah.
That is so true. I've been in corporate high level, and I will tell you that there is a dumbing down that is a natural outcome of following orders
Right.
from someone else, to the point where when you reach retirement, which is what so many in my generation are dealing with, they do not know how to birth
Yes.
that thing.
How to rewrite the story.
They and
Yeah.
it is a story that has to be rewritten
Yeah.
with their name as the author,
Exactly.
not a corporation.
Yes.
It has to be
Yes.
their name.
Yeah.
And I am so glad you all are learning this early, because I've been out of the corporate world for 36 years. And at the time I made that leap, I was the discouragement was great because people were not feeling that, like, why would you leave that very, very, very high-end job to do this? But Lucy doesn't work well in corporate.
Exactly.
And you know, you want to be respectful of headship and leadership, but I just think the smartest guys are out here doing it too. They're
They
not in that bubble.
Well, I mean, I worked for one of my greatest mentors. Is an employer of mine that I absolutely adore. Her name's Mary Lee Tracy.
Okay.
And she's an Olympic gymnastics coach.
Really?
And she coaches members of our national team in gymnastics. And she has always allowed me to follow my gut.
Really?
And encouraged me to go with my instincts and allowed me to use my individual gifts as an instructor. And she's always pushed me to rise to the occasion. Yeah, and she's, you know, an amazing leader and an amazing mentor of mine, another single mother who is an entrepreneur, who has built something out of nothing. And, you know, she does not want to she has never asked me to, you know, follow the program or there's never been a dumbing down. There's always been a lifting up, and a building and an empowering, and you know, let's let Laurel be Laurel and use everything that Laurel was given. And
that is so
yes,
powerful.
and she has taught me.
That's so powerful.
I attribute her leadership to me becoming the adult that I am today.
That is wonderful.
Yes.
That is absolutely wonderful.
So it was such a gift to have someone like that come into my life in my early 20s, and just so thankful for that leadership.
That is extremely powerful.
Yes.
That really is. Did you have a similar situation where someone impacted on your life so profoundly like that?
You know what? Mine actually came out of a book.
A book?
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
I'm a reader.
Yeah, mine came out of a book. And I think we often forget that mentors can be, you know, typed on pages as well.
Yes,
you know?
yes, yes.
And I read a book. My brother told me to read it 2 years prior, and I didn't. And I finally read it 2 years later, and the book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh my gosh, by
yeah.
Mr. Cowett.
Yes, yes.
Seminal book.
Yes, yes. It
Seminal.
completely changed my perception of how wealth was created in this country.
Yes, yes.
You know, we're taught to go to school, get good grades, get a good job. Awesome, okay?
Right.
That'll get you so far. But, you know, when you see people that have been on unemployment for 2 or 3 years, that plan doesn't work too
It's
well.
not working
It's a
well.
broken model.
It's a broken plan.
It's a broken model. And so that was really one of my first mentors when it came to understanding
book.
business
Yes.
and you know, how to create something out of nothing.
Yes.
And how to you know, create something that's sustainable over the long term, regardless of what's going on in the economic recession, regardless of who's you know, in the administration. You have to be able to take greater control over your own future. And you can't rely on a company, a president who's running the Fed.
What can I say?
Yes.
I mean, you're singing my song.
Yes,
You're
yes.
singing my last show.
Yes. So it's just very, very critical. And you know, I think it's one of those old sayings that says, you know, everything that you ever wanted to know is inside the library, and it's free.
It is, and
Okay?
it is free.
It's
It
free.
is
It's free. It is. I mean, if you took you know, did a survey, a poll, and said how many people actually have a library card, it'd probably be a very small percentage.
Right.
And you know that's so, not to cut you off, April, but that is one of my real pet peeves because I am I'm a geek, and books took me all over the world. I lived at the library, and now as an adult, I still love the library because it's just so many stories
Yes.
amassed in one location.
Yeah.
And unlike Europe, it's free in America.
Right.
They do not charge. They call them public libraries. They're not personal collections.
Right.
And I think you're so right. The library is powerful for fulfilling dreams.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
It is. And that book is a story.
Yes.
But Rich Man, Poor Man is an awesome book.
So I would encourage young people to become readers at a young age.
And dream.
And dream, yes. Turn
Dream.
on your dream machine. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. You know, leaders are readers. They
Yes.
just are.
Yes.
I totally, and multiple, because my bedroom actually is embarrassing because I read like 7 or 8 books at a time. And I will put this book aside and I'll re-pick up, and I even have a light clip that I clip on.
Yes.
Because each one of those I'm looking at and processing, and there's some phenomenal books that are out here, particularly from other countries.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book, Anastasia, which is a part of a series out of Russia.
Oh, nice.
And we have a concept of Russia that's not true. The people over there are not all crazy,
Right.
or you know, the stereotypes.
Yeah.
There's some amazing things going on over there, which a lot of people over here are not aware of.
Right.
And this book is a part of a series that I've started reading.
Nice.
And it has been Anastasia. It's an amazing story, and it's helped me to confront some of my stuff,
Yeah.
which is you have to be open.
Yes.
You have to be open. You just cannot prejudge people.
No.
You
Right.
have to be open, and that's the excitement that I see with our young people, that you all are flowing in a river that for many of us is not familiar.
Right.
But like I tell people, stick your toe in the water.
Yes.
Exactly.
And feel it, and then stick the rest of you in the water.
Yes.
And then swim in it, and swim in it, and enjoy it. Enjoy it. That's amazing. So where do you go from here, madam?
You know, my goal really through the end of this year into next year, as you know, I published my first personal development CD, My Purpose is My
How's
Power.
that going?
Awesome. Getting ready for another production
Oh
run.
my
So
gosh.
I'm excited about that, And then I'm finishing my book this year to come out next year. So there'll be the book which will accompany the CD
Yes.
as well, which will also be called My Purpose is My Power. And so I'm really excited about that. That's what I'm putting a lot of energy into through the remainder of this year.
My purpose is my power. That is so amazing.
And with that will be a book tour as well.
Of course.
Yes,
of
absolutely.
Course,
so
of course.
yeah, so
of
I have some
course.
connections out on the West Coast and in Canada. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Canada's awesome.
It is. They're very open.
Canada and Australia are amazing nation states. But to think they're right over across
Yes.
the bridge,
Yeah.
literally, and they are so amazing. I love Canada.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
Canadians, you'll make money.
Yes.
You'll make good money.
Looking
Australians
forward to
too.
it. Yeah.
Don't turn your nose. Australians are a little bit out there, but
Right.
but they're having a great time.
Awesome.
They are too. That is great.
Yeah.
That is absolutely great.
Yeah.
And what about yourself?
For personally or for my business?
Well,
or-
I don't care.
Okay, let's talk about the
really
business.
see them. I don't really see them as different.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's my business exists to
Okay.
to create the type of personal life I want for the home that I want, the life for my child that I want.
Yes.
I am working on, my long-term goal is to take the Cincinnati area from a tertiary market into a secondary market by bringing, that's the first baby step, by bringing more media attention to the area,
Okay.
making it more of a destination. So we're talking travel,
Yes,
tourism,
yes.
drawing attention to the landmarks and the unique things about this town, because I have friends that come in from out of town and just absolutely love it. Well, why
Oh, it's
doesn't
a
the rest
beautiful
of the
city.
yeah,
Yeah,
why
it's a
doesn't the rest
beautiful
of the
city.
nation know about this?
Yeah.
And we really know how to grow them. There's a lot of talent in this area. So, and if the city itself is more successful in commerce
Yes.
and just in exposure, then we all make more money.
I couldn't agree.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more.
So that's my vision for the company.
Okay.
But at the same time, I also plan on getting the agency licensed in New York and in
Oh,
California.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, you must.
Because
Yes.
how I
mean,
need
you must.
to
Those are
draw
A
to
markets.
draw
Yeah.
that media attention, we need to
Yes.
utilize our connections in the
Yes.
primary markets.
Yes, yes.
So
Well, I'm going to have to encourage you to Facebook my daughter.
absolutely, I look
because
forward
she
to
is-
meeting her.
She's a force to be reckoned with, and certainly there's another gentleman that I had on Hollywood. I don't know if you've met
I've
him.
met Hollywood.
Have you met
Yes,
Hollywood?
I've
Now
worked
you
in
know he's
Hollywood.
LA,
Yes.
but he is homegrown,
Okay, yeah.
and he and his partner are doing some very novel things to bring attention to this part of the country.
Yeah.
And I mean, I personally, I think it's a phenomenal community. The architecture, the
Yes.
landscaping,
Yes.
Yep.
the people. But it needs that energy.
Yes.
It needs visionaries such as yourself.
It needs the belief and the attention, and just
Yeah, it
stepping
does.
out of our day-to-day, like, let's just get by, let's just survive.
Yes, because life is truly deeper than that.
Exactly.
is.
I tell folks, please don't drink what is that funny pill on the Matrix?
Kool-Aid.
Don't drink the green Kool-Aid, and don't take the wrong pill. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
I think it's the blue pill.
Was it the blue
I
pill?
think
One
it's
of
the
them that
blue.
got
I
you
don't
stuck.
remember.
I don't know. The red pill, the blue.
Right.
But that Neo had to make a decision.
Yeah.
But I think that all of us have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
And it translates not just from the quality of your personal life, but what do you want to do with you?
Exactly.
How do you want to live out your life?
Yeah.
Well, and we make deposits on that minute by minute. You're making
Oh,
deposits or
that's
withdrawals.
good.
Yeah.
You're making,
You're making deposits and withdrawals
Yes.
minute by minute.
True.
yes, every minute.
So
You're
what happens when a person has never deposited?
They
Are
live
they-
a pretty unfulfilling life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They live a
Like when
pretty.
you said, like, your soul wasn't being fed,
Yeah.
you have to do things to feed it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have to choose what are the right things, what are the wrong things. You
Yeah.
know, where am I making deposits? Where am I making withdrawals?
This is good.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this interview. I really am. This is very good. I know that the challenge as you grow older, and in your 30s, when I started my first business when I was 33, which was unheard of.
Yes.
Absolutely. First investment company in Cincinnati. And then people said, well, that'll never work because they'll never ever support a woman. They'll never support a black woman. And I was a single mother as well.
Yeah.
And so my children grew up with their mother doing her passion.
Exactly.
And so their whole thing as adults is to do what works for them.
And
Right.
again, your talents weren't just for you; they were for your
They-
children.
So when you talk about
Yes.
you're
Yes.
doing it for
You're
others,
passing
it on.
you're
Yes.
passing it on.
Yes.
And I think that is so very important that your young people, younger than you, begin to see.
anytime, you read a book, it's up to you to implement the new information that you're given.
Right.
And you can start immediately.
Right. Isn't that's
And
so
that's a
powerful? You
deposit.
can start immediately.
Immediately. You don't have to wait for
Immediately.
anybody.
So what is the problem? The inability to execute? Is that the challenge where they fear rejection? Are they fear, failure? What do you think it is?
It's funny.
We were just talking
We were
about
just
this.
talking
talking
about.
about this. Okay, all right.
We
Well, I
were
wanna
talking.
hear that.
We were
Yeah.
talking about this, and one of the principles that I was taught by one of my mentors, C.S. Hughes, is. You think about what everyone's goal for the most part is to be success, and that's going to be defined differently for
Yes, it
everyone,
is.
okay?
Yes, it is.
But if your goal is success, and maybe you're even doing all the activity in order to be successful, okay? So
Okay.
you're making the calls, you're
Yes,
on the
yes,
meetings,
yes,
you're out
yes,
networking,
yes,
you're doing
yeah.
all that. But if your thoughts and your feelings and what you're confessing out of your mouth are not in alignment with success, it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. So you have to bring all of those stars into alignment. The goal has to be success. What you think has to be success. What you feel has to be success. The words out of your mouth have to be success. And then you got to put the faith in action, and you got to go to work. But all those have to be aligned into success. What happens to most of us, we're doing the activity and the goal is success, but we're still thinking thoughts of poverty and failure.
I couldn't agree
So
more.
they cancel each other out.
Exactly.
They cancel each other
Because
out.
the subconscious will not
The
be
s-
tricked.
The
It
subconscious will not be.
tricked.
You're absolutely
It will
right.
not be tricked.
It always overrides.
Yes,
It always
always,
does.
always.
And that's what people need to understand. So you can be saying, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But if in the back of your mind, you still don't believe, you need to work on that belief first. Because it's not going to happen. Those
Right.
efforts are just going to be futile. You got to bring it all into alignment. Think, feel, your words, your actions, and your goal all
Right.
have to be aligned into
Right.
success. That's when people, they call it the bended knee effect.
Yes.
And the
Right,
graph goes
right,
like that.
right.
That's when it happens for people. And then you look at them and say, oh my gosh, they're an overnight success. No, they were
they
not.
I'm amazed. I am so amazed at the incredible naivete
Yeah.
of anyone to make that statement when one person's comment was, well, why does she charge what she charged? And I said, well, it only took me 40 years to learn how to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
what looks simple is not simple at all.
No.
It took years
Right.
to learn and to master
Yes.
your craft. And again, as I shared with you earlier, now that I've really mastered this, I'm excited about doing some other things
Right,
now.
right,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm 60. I'm ready to do. I've been doing money since I was 20. That's 40
Yeah.
years. I'm ready to do something else. And I don't know what it looks like, but I'm confident that as long as I am meeting that need
Yes.
in my
Right.
soul to help people, that it will express itself.
Absolutely.
So I think you guys are on a great path.
Yeah.
I mean, just an amazing path. So you're writing books and DVDs and touring and you're doing a talent agency and taking care of baby and just inspiring and leading others on. And it's just a very good story.
Yes.
We're excited.
And it begins at any moment.
It begins
It's a
at
choice.
any moment.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So how do you, and this is a question I have because obviously by the time you have reached 60, many women have quit. Many women have quit. Are there any final thoughts, because our time is just about up,
Okay.
that you would like to leave older women who are at their crossroads? Because many of them are. Divorce rates among baby boomers have gone through the roof.
Right. Right.
Really, the women are leaving their husbands. That's got to be scary.
I would say dream again.
Dream again.
Dream again. When we're younger, we know how to dream. We think we can be astronauts. We're going to be
Yes.
president of the United States.
Yes.
And then something happens through our programming. It's our programming.
Yes, it is, April.
It is.
Yes, it
It
is.
is. Through our programming, we are, I call it the window of your life. The window of your life, there's dirt, grime that keeps getting splashed up on it.
Oh.
Okay? And you have got to consistently get the squeegee out and get the dirt off, because that is what is going to continue to reignite your dream. And you do that by what you read, what you listen to, and the people that you associate with.
Wow.
So
that is powerful.
Yeah.
if you're feeling stagnant or trying to figure out what your next step is, change your associations and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Get 5 new friends.
You know what? I did that 2 years ago. I literally put a line through a bunch of people
Yep.
that just weren't growing.
Yep.
And I just couldn't hardly take it anymore.
Yep.
And I changed my associations to younger, much younger,
Yep.
aggressive, happy people.
Yep.
And I found myself changing.
Exactly.
It was wonderful. What about you? We've got a few minutes left
Okay.
and then we're done.
I would say if you feel like you've gotten all that you can get out of life, that you've ever wanted out of life, someone else needs you.
That's
And
the philanthropy.
you
Yes.
have a lifetime full of knowledge and wisdom and talents to pass on to someone else.
That is so wonderful.
So-
So again, it's always
But then again, those new activities bring
Yes.
on new associations. My
Yes.
mother just recently came into a new group of friends through volunteering, and it has
Yes.
just changed her so much in just a couple of years' time.
that is so amazing. But this is
Yeah.
all good information to help people to begin to look at their life and to make the necessary changes
Yes.
Yes.
to become the person that they dreamed about as a child. I'll just conclude by saying my passion is the women and children of West Africa. And my passion had been to create an economic environment for their success through shea butter.
Okay.
And it has been a frustrating journey because from beginning to end, and at one point I wanted to throw up my hands and say, this is killing me. I'm not making any money. And then I finally had to realize it wasn't about me.
Right.
It was about setting the example for a nation of women to come
Yeah.
into their own. And once I got over that, I really got over it. And I'm seeing a shift. And I'm so glad because I was beginning to become irritating to myself. You're irritating yourself, Michelle. So I feel what you're saying about this issue of passion. And for those of you that are viewing into the show today, and what an amazing show it has been from beginning to end with these two remarkable women. One African American, April Joy Gillespie, who's a superstar in her own venue, publishing, writing, producing, all of the things that say she's on a fast track, a racehorse, that's what I call her. And then we have another young woman who is Caucasian,
Yeah.
Laurel Mazzocca.
Mazzocca.
I'm going to get that right. And she has her own talent agency, and she's raising a child, and even named her company after her child's initials, and just positivity all over the place. I'd like to encourage all of you to take a bath, or shower. Take a shower, cold water. Retake your life. Refocus your life on the things that are important. And again, as both women emphasized, every day is new. Don't make excuses for where you're not, but begin to order your steps so that you can get there. And of course, I wish you only the best, because scripturally, if God is with you, who's against you? Your biggest enemy is probably yourself. So on today's Power of Money, I'm your host, as always, Michelle Graves, and it's been a delight to allow these women and myself to talk to you and to share with each other. And you have an incredible, amazing, God-blessed day. You take care. That was good. That was really good. I am so impressed.
That was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want you to Facebook me. I'll send you to my